I don't think I've ever been to Conimicut Point Beach before.
No, I haven't either, Ray, but it's a pretty spot right here at the mouth of the Providence River in Rhode Island.
Now you can see the city of Providence to our north.
Yep.
And there's Bristol, Rhode Island across the water to our east. Mm-hmm. It's a perfect summer's day to be here at the beach.
It is, but we're not staying here very long.
Uh-huh.
Our destination is a little over a half mile out there on the water.
Oh, I'm guessing you're talking about the lighthouse.
Not just any lighthouse. That's Conimicut Lighthouse. It's old, historic. The history is both dark and lonely. And if we're to believe the Coast Guard, the Conimicut Lighthouse is haunted. Hello, I'm Jeff Belanger, and welcome to episode 307 of the New England Legends podcast.
And I'm Ray Auger. We're glad you've joined your buddies Jeff and Ray to explore this strange place called New England. We're always on the hunt for ghosts, monsters, aliens, roadside oddities, and all the weird history that makes New England like no other place. So many of our story leads come from you, so please reach out to us anytime through our website.
And we'll go looking for the ghosts of Conimicut Lighthouse right after this quick word from this sponsor. So as I said, we're not staying here at the beach very long, Ray. In fact, there's our ride right over there.
Where? The rowboat?
Well, it's technically a dinghy.
Oh, okay. Yeah, somehow that's even worse, Jeff.
Come on. It's not that far to the lighthouse. Let's get rowing.
I can see the Conimicut Lighthouse up ahead. It's sitting on a few rocks. Can you even call that an island?
No, you really can't. I mean, it's basically a foundation for the lighthouse.
Yeah, it's painted white with black trim. Almost looks like a spark plug in the ocean.
Yeah, right.
I can see there's a small dock off to the side.
Yep, that's right where we're aiming.
There's a lot of rust around here.
Yeah.
Clearly no one lives here.
No, it's been automated by the Coast Guard for many years now.
I can't imagine living here. There's nowhere to go except walk around the building. You're really stuck in a lighthouse that's like this.
Yeah, absolutely. And thankfully, it's a pretty short boat ride. I mean, only about 10 minutes or so, and you can get to the nearest shore.
All right, so here's a little more background on the Conimicut Lighthouse. It's technically located in Warwick, Rhode Island,
right?
And it sits at the mouth of the Providence River. A lighthouse was first placed here in 1868, just after the Civil War, to protect the ships navigating the sometimes shallow shoals in these waters. In 1883, this more modern lighthouse, built of cast iron, replaced the original light. It's 58 feet tall and includes the keeper's quarters and the light at the top.
And that pretty much sums it up. And today, it's rusting and haunted. And to find out why, let's head back to 1922 and meet the lighthouse keeper.
It's early June of 1922 here off the coast of Warwick, Rhode Island. Warren G. Harding is the President of the United States. My Man by Fanny Brice is the #1 song on the wireless. The World War ended almost 4 years ago, so it's still a time of rebuilding and peace. The shipping lanes around Providence are busy.
Here at the Conimicut Lighthouse, the work is tedious but critical. Ellsworth Smith is the lighthouse keeper. He lives here with his 30-year-old wife, Nellie, and their 2 sons, Russell, age 2, and Ellsworth Jr., age 5. They tend to the light, especially at night and during storms. And the waters here at the mouth of the Providence River can be shallow. I mean, ships have run aground before, and it can be a dangerous stretch to navigate.
Still, living in these small quarters with young boys full of energy is tedious and cramped. Though they've lived here for about a year now, Nellie is getting stir-crazy. She asked her husband if they could rent a small place on shore where she and her children can live while he's at the lighthouse. But Ellsworth says they can't afford it.
Yeah, lighthouse keepers don't make much money, but they do get free living quarters so they can save their pennies. Now, if Ellsworth had to rent a place on the mainland, there wouldn't be much left.
Each day, Nellie grows more despondent. She's even threatened suicide. But Ellsworth figures this is just a phase. They don't intend to live here forever, just until they can save enough money to make their next move.
It's ironic, but the nicest days here are actually the most brutal.
But what do you mean by that?
Well, when the sun's shining and there's good visibility, there's really not much need for a lighthouse. What's worse is you can see so much life and excitement just a short distance right over there on the shore. Take a look.
Oh, yeah, I see what you mean. There's people having fun at the beach.
Yeah.
There's the city of Providence to the north. Oh, and check that out. You can see Rocky Point Amusement Park from here, too.
Yeah.
When the wind blows in the direction, you can hear people squealing on the rides.
And meanwhile, the Smith family are stuck in this metal cone. It's a tiny little prison on a crop of rocks, in plain view of everything. But you might as well be on the moon because you just can't get there.
Yeah, this is depressing.
Yeah, the tide comes in, the tide goes out. The sun sets, the sun rises. Life out there on land goes on. Life in here is stuck in one vicious cycle. Tend to the light, polish the rails, feed the family with the food you have, and do it all again tomorrow. The kids are bored. Nellie's bored. But this is the life they're stuck in.
It's Saturday, June 10th. Ellsworth announces he needs to take the boat to shore to get supplies, but he'll be back in the evening. He's left Nellie in charge of tending to the lighthouse, which isn't asking much considering the weather's fine today. Nellie watches Ellsworth row the boat to shore.
As Ellsworth and his boat turn into a smaller and smaller dot on the water heading to shore, Nellie turns back toward the living quarters in the lighthouse. She finds Ellsworth's keys. She walks over to the supplies cabinet, and she removes some poison pills from a bottle. She gathers her two boys and tells them it's candy. They should swallow it down. Her youngest does as he's asked. Nellie also swallows one of the pills, but her oldest son finds the taste unbearable, and he spits it out.
Oh, this is terrible. The youngest, Russell, soon falls unconscious. Though Nellie is feeling weak, she lifts him and lays him on the kitchen table.
Over in the corner, Ellsworth Jr. is pale and holding his stomach.
Nellie seems faint now. She stumbles a few steps and collapses on her bed.
It's 6 p.m., and Ellsworth is hitching his boat back up to the dock of Conimicut Lighthouse. He enters the living quarters and immediately finds his young son lying lifeless on the kitchen table. He turns to the bedroom to see Nellie lying eerily still. When he approaches, he sees she's also dead.
The sound of Ellsworth Jr. catches his father's attention. His son is clearly in bad shape. Ellsworth lifts his son into his arms and carries the boy back down to the boat hitched to the dock. It takes less than 10 minutes for Ellsworth to reach the mainland.
Ellsworth calls for help. Junior is raced to the hospital. Now, ever the responsible lightkeeper, he notifies authorities that Conimicut Light won't be in operation tonight. Ships and boats must be warned.
With his duties out of the way, the doctors act quickly, and within a few hours, it's clear the boy will recover. He spit out most of the poison, which saved his life.
Now, meanwhile, Ellsworth explains to police the scene he found back at Conimicut Lighthouse. After a day in the hospital, Ellsworth brings his son to his sister's house to recuperate. The police recover the bodies of his wife and son. Ellsworth can't bring himself to go back to his duties. And that brings us back to today.
Back in 1939, control of every lighthouse in the United States was placed under the control of the Coast Guard. However, at Conimicut Lighthouse, civilian keepers stayed on until the late 1950s. In 1957, the last civilian keeper, a man named Powell, died at the station.
So that's 3 deaths at the lighthouse if we're keeping score.
We are keeping score.
Right.
In 1960, an electrical cable was run to Conimicut Lighthouse, and the light went fully automated.
But strange stories did turn up. Back in 2006, a Coast Guardsman named Paul Baptiste gave an interview where he mentioned he had to relieve the civilian lighthouse keeper of Conimicut Point Light back in 1955. He slept in the storage room. After his first night in the room, the keeper's wife asked him if he'd seen any ghosts. She said the ghost of the former keeper's wife still haunts the place.
Oh, yikes. So people were talking about it being haunted at least as far back as 1955.
Yeah, that's what it would seem.
And today the lighthouse is rusting away. I mean, it clearly needs some TLC.
Lighthouses are iconic along the New England coast. They mark waypoints for travelers, and each has its own light signature. And many of them date back many decades and sometimes even a century or more. Now, while walking the beach, we stare at these beacons. We photograph them as so many did before us. And we imagine what life inside must have been like. The haunting of Conimicut Lighthouse shows us sometimes our sanity can't survive the isolation. And that will forever haunt us.
So many lighthouses, so many haunting stories.
So true. And that brings us to After the Legend, where we take a deeper dive into uncharted waters and sometimes veer off course.
After the Legend is brought to you by you, our Patreon patrons. This legendary group of people understand great content isn't free. We can't do this without any of them. If you've been enjoying our journeys together over the years, please consider helping out so we can do even more. It's just $3 per month, and that gets you early ad-free access to new episodes, plus bonus episodes and content that no one else gets to hear. Just head over to patreon.com/New England Legends to sign up.
And if you'd like to see pictures of Conimicut Lighthouse, historic ones too, click on the link in the episode description or navigate your way over to our website and click on episode 307. So, yeah, lighthouses. They must all be haunted.
All of them.
Yeah, I mean...
Something horrific happened in every lighthouse.
Or around it.
Or around it, perhaps.
Because that's why the lighthouse is there.
Have you seen the movie? I think we talked about this movie with Willem Dafoe.
Yes, and the guy that played Batman.
Yeah.
Most recently. Yes.
Patterson.
Rob Pattinson?
Robert.
Yeah.
You don't know him. It's Robert.
Bob.
His friends call him Bob.
Bobby.
Bobby. That was just like this. It was people that just ended up going insane because they were living in such tight quarters. And it was polishing the rails and tending to the light. That's it.
And in that movie, by the way, that lighthouse was on an island.
Yes.
This
is a little bigger, yeah.
There's nowhere to go. It's on a rock. Like you're walking on the lighthouse and that's it.
Yeah.
I guess at low tide you could make your way on those giant rocks they put out for jetties and things.
Yep.
But just a couple of them.
Yeah.
There's no room to do anything.
Could go swimming, I suppose.
Right. I mean, yeah, but it's just, if two young boys, you've got kids.
Oh, I
imagine
freak out if we're anywhere near water. Yeah.
Forget the water. Imagine
yeah.
like you're in this room, right? For a year.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Okay.
It was almost like COVID.
It was almost like COVID, right? Except you can go in the yard.
A whole house in a yard. Yeah.
You could go to a park. You could go in the woods. But yeah, no. And they were just stuck. And this was a person that didn't ask for it. Lighthouse keepers, they started bringing their families because for that very reason, like out there all alone, it was too much.
Yeah.
But with your family, you stood a chance. But no one asked for that. Those kids didn't ask for that.
Right. I need some company. I'm bringing my family. But then after 3 days, it's like, can I send them home now?
Well,
are we done?
Or your family. And so this woman Nellie had a long history. Apparently she had become more despondent throughout the year. She hated it, wanted to live on shore, but they didn't have the money for that. So I get it. It's a special type of person that could be a lighthouse keeper, which is why it's all automated now, right? Because there's so many stories like this. This isn't unique.
Yeah.
We've done other haunted lighthouse stories over the years.
How many places do you think share equally the beauty and the horror?
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Question, yeah.
Because we, like you said in the podcast, we or in the story, we take pictures of lighthouses. We stand in front of them. We think they're beautiful. Let's go see the lighthouses on the Cape.
Yep.
And you take the tour. And then at the same time, a lot of horrible things happen in these things.
Yeah. Or nearby in the water for sure. So it's if you're somewhere on a beach or whatever and you see a lighthouse, can you not take a picture?
You take a picture. Look at the lighthouse.
You're like, I'm like Ansel Adams. Let me really line this one up. You're suddenly like, you're like, maybe this will be like a print I'll get made and and then you look at it, you're like,
a postcard.
It's a lighthouse.
Somebody's going to buy this.
Yeah.
Speaking of pictures and lighthouses, didn't Frank just do an interview about his photography when it came to lighthouses?
Our buddy Frank Grace. Yeah. He photographs creepy places or places that are pretty and makes them look creepy.
Right. But it was specifically lighthouses. I think this interview that I just saw with him.
Yeah, might have been.
Yeah.
He's kind of a big deal.
He kind of is.
He's kind of a big deal. He does calendars.
Yeah, I got a calendar. Oh, it's May. So I just like that picture so much. I didn't want to.
Yeah.
I'm going to.
Okay, Ray's fixing the haunted New England calendar.
You always bring this up from time to time, and then I always forget to do it. So
it's 2 months.
June?
2 months back.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all right. Not too bad.
Smith's Castle.
Yeah, missed that one.
Oh my God! Are you serious?
Oh, that's right. July is a lighthouse.
Portland Headlight.
Portland Headlight in
This
Maine.
is so weird. All these little coincidences.
See, and here we are. So there was one more story related to Conimicut Lighthouse. So in the summer of 1960, the officer in charge, Sam E. Harris, and a man named Mickelson awoke to find bloody footprints leading from the boat landing right into the kitchen
Oh, no.
of the lighthouse. Yeah, I know. So the two men, they were like, okay, what's going on? It doesn't take long to check out a facility of this size. It's not very big. There's no one in there, but there's the bloody footprints. And the best they figure, other than if they're not going to believe in ghost stories, is that there was a poacher who was out, getting fish or clams or whatever in the bay, in the harbor, and got hurt, went into the lighthouse to get first aid supplies, and then left. And they did say after that they did lock the door at night, because I can imagine you stay at a place like that. Do we really need to lock the door? I mean, who's going to show up?
Now, were there footprints going out? They saw their footprints going in.
I read you what they had. So that's I mean, imagine that. You're like, okay, I know like people have died here and like committed suicide because they couldn't take it, and then you wake and you see bloody footprints. I'd be like,
they just stop at the table.
Checkmate.
Yeah. All done.
Yep. And
how do you spend the night?
Just set that thing on autopilot, and we're gonna just row the boat to the beach there and get some Dell's lemonade and Narragansett beer and have some clam fritters.
Yeah. And with that,
one more
go
comment here. The story of the murder-suicide was reported in the New York Daily News, June 11th, 1922. So this event did make news pretty far and wide because it is so tragic. And I think it's so relatable. Like everybody can just imagine what that life must be like. And then add family members to that. Right, and little kids. And it wouldn't be easy for sure. Tragic tale, haunting tale, and that lighthouse is still out there rusting in the water.
Be sure to subscribe to our podcast because, hey, it's free, and we don't want you to miss anything. Each Monday, we bring you a tale from our vault and some new commentary, and each Thursday, a brand new episode. We grow because of you, so please tell your friends about us. Post this episode on your social media and post a review for us. It helps us quite a bit.
We'd like to thank our sponsors. Thank you so much to our Patreon patrons, and our theme music is by John Judd.
Remember, until next time, no.
Until next time, remember, the bizarre is closer than you think.